Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Rich, aka Major Monkey, and I have not said that for quite some while. What's up, guys? Hope you guys have been all good and missed the heck out of you guys. Missed doing these review videos. I'll be talking about it more at the end of the video, but just sorry first off, just for not really being able to post for the past the last couple months of last year and then these first 4 months of 2025. But thank you for being patient. Thank you guys for the support for the videos that I do currently have up on YouTube. You guys, I love it when you guys comment and stuff, just being able to talk to you guys about peripherals and hopefully help you with any question that you might have. Just thank you guys. Appreciate it. But with that being said, though, I have been extremely blessed and privileged to have been sent units to review, whether that be a couple keyboards, some mice, etc. And today I actually want to be talking to you guys about a gaming mouse that I have been using for about the past month or so now, and that is the mouse by Teevolution called Terra. Now, quick little rundown of this mouse, and with my background in PC gaming. When I first started gaming on the PC, mouse and keyboard was not, I didn't catch on to it very quickly. Being a console player my entire life, it was definitely a struggle when I did make that switch to PC gaming. And yeah, mouse and keyboard it didn't click for me right away, literally. And one of the first mice though to really kind of just feel great in my hands and I loved using was a mouse that you guys are probably very familiar with, called the Logitech G703. It was this awesome ergonomic mouse, but not too big of an ergonomic mouse to where someone like myself with a kind of medium average hand size could still use and enjoy. It had some really thick, meaty side buttons, which I loved so much, which probably is the reason why I have such a disdain for very small side buttons. I think it's just because I was so accustomed to the G703 being one of the first mice that I've kind of latched onto. It kind of just set me up for failure for the rest of my peripheral career because, man, those side buttons were thick. I loved that mouse. And if you guys are familiar with Logitech's history, they then eventually, a little bit later down the line, came out with the Superlight, which, as you guys probably know, is one of the most basically the most popular mouse in the world. Yeah, it's just that became such a staple in just the peripheral competitive, gaming scene. And, with that kind of mass success, I was like, bro, if they can start making some Superlights, please make a G703 Superlight. That was the dream. And at least in my opinion, it seemed like a no-brainer to bring back old loved mice, but with this new Superlight transition or transformation. And they kind of did that with the Shroud Edition Logitech G303. Sadly for my hand size, it just didn't work for me that well. But one mouse that they just never did was the 703, and I was sad. I was so bummed out about that. And as time has passed, there have been some some companies that have come out with mice that are definitely close to the 3703. Ones that come to my head that I'll be showing you a picture of later for some shape comparisons. The Sprime mouse, that was close to the 703, but not exactly as it. Recently the Pulsar came out with I believe it was the X3. I might be, you'll see in the later on, but I think I might be getting that name right. Again, very close to the G703, but not exact though. Both those mice, very close. You can definitely tell that they were, paying some sort of homage to the 703, but you couldn't call them one-to-one clones, right? They were just very similar, which definitely did scratch a lot of our itches for a mouse like the 703, but it just wasn't enough, right? At least for me personally, I needed a 703, but a current day 703. And Teevolution, they must have heard my prayers, because that is quite literally, as we get into this review, what they've created here with the Terra. It feels like a Superlight 703. Everything. It's basically, did you love the 703? Here's the Superlight upgrade for it. It's 8K. The 8K has been feeling great, has been performing great. It's weighted at 49 grams. For my specific copy, mine was coming in at just a little over 50. It was like about 50.4. Now, when it comes to mice, it's very hard for it to ever be exactly the weight that they advertise, right? That's why they have the, 40 mine plus or minus, right? Because every mouse is going to be slightly different, and with that is sometimes some weight deviation. But for my mouse, 50 grams. For me personally, 50 grams is not heavy at all. My kind of perfect sweet spot is upper 30s, like low 40s. That's like my dream kind of spot. But 50 grams feels very lightweight still, a lot lighter also compared to the original 703. So that you definitely can feel the difference if if you actively have a 703 at home and then were to use the Terra, you'll definitely notice a difference. The optical switches feel really good. They feel really solid. Everything just feels exactly like what I would hope a Superlight 703 would be. And like I said earlier, I've used the mouse for about a month now, and I wanted to give it just, typically with the mouse reviews I was doing before I had to stop making them, I would use a mouse for maybe about a week or two, and then make my review and just kind of get going with it. With this mouse, because of just how much I loved the 703, I wanted to give this bad boy a whole month. Just this, I literally haven't touched any other mice. I've received the Pulsar 10s edition mouse, haven't touched it yet, which I really want to, and I can't wait to review it, but I haven't touched that mouse, like, at all. I also finally got the final mouse. Finally, it finally showed up to my house. Haven't used it yet, which, oh man, we'll get to that mouse later on. But and then also I received the Inca from Lamzu, which also big shout out to Lamzu for that. Thank you. But I was like, dude, there's no way I am not going to give this mouse the time that it deserves, especially because also, again, big shout out to Teevolution. I have had a phenomenal time kind of conversating with them over the length of like this whole thing from, first conversating with them, then plans of receiving a unit, then just like conversating leading up to finally receiving the unit. They have just been awesome to talk with, always extremely helpful for any questions I had. And yeah, man, just like awesome customer support. They've been just so kind. And then to also bring a mouse that I personally have been just dreaming of. I didn't want to just do a quick 1 week, here's the mouse, boom, done. I wanted to respect it and give it the time that it deserved. So first is just specs. Like I said, 8K, it's rocking a 3950. 3950 has also felt perfectly fine. Like it's a 3950. It performs well. Never had any hiccups with the sensor. The switches, again, felt great. The weight is a tiny bit heavier than the 49 Target, but again, you will not feel that 1 gram of a difference, I promise you. When it comes to the skates, they give you a couple options, and the already applied ones are these honeycomb kind of skates. For me personally, I didn't not like them. I didn't love them, if that makes sense. But from what I've seen and spoken to some other people about the honeycomb skates, you actually kind of need to break them in a little bit, and then once you break them in, they feel a lot better. So I was using those for a bit. I then switched over to their dots, and their dots felt really nice. And then after using the dot skates for a while, I applied the Midori Vantage Shifts, which these are like my go-to skates with every mouse. Once I use the provided skates from the company and give them like a really nice solid like week of using, I'll then switch over to what I prefer and like what's my normal kind of go-to, and then get a feel of that. Both times with the provided and my own skates, the mouse has felt great, very smooth. Every skate that they provide to you are awesome. Just for my personal preference, I didn't love the honeycomb, but like I said, it just requires some breaking down and getting it kind of using it, breaking into them. And so yeah, everything has been awesome. Specs wise, I haven't had a single issue. Battery life has felt very consistent with other mice that I've used, where 8K is going to be chewing a lot of that battery life, but I'm easily getting a good like 3-4 days of casual kind of use, definitely not heavy duty use whatsoever. And then obviously if you go down to lower pulling rates, then you'll get obviously more gaming time with the mouse, but it charges very fast. And yeah, before we get over to the shape comparison, I also just want to shout out the dongle. The dongle, again, for me personally, I don't care too much about accessories when it comes to the mice. The more that they give you, I think that's just the cherry on top, and I appreciate it when they do. For dongles, as long as it works, I'm happy. But when they go above and beyond to provide you something that's above the norm, I have to give them their roses for this, because this is easily one of my favorite dongles I've had the privilege of using. Just visually, it gives you everything you need to know. The battery life, if it's connected, DPI, polling rate, liftoff, just like everything on this nice square screen. And it's awesome. It's easily my favorite dongle I've ever used. Easily tied with or slightly above the Akitsu from Arbiter Studios. I also loved their dongle a lot too, but Teevolution did such a phenomenal job with that. I just had to shout that out. Now let's get into the shapes and comparisons to some other mice that are similar to it. As I'm talking about these mice with you guys and the shapes, I will be kind of popping up on the screen a quick little just rundown of the one-to-one comparisons with each of the mice. So the first one is the Terra with the 703. To me, in my opinion, this is the closest one-to-one of the 703, just in every single aspect of the body. The only difference really is that the 703 is slightly skinnier. Yeah, slightly skinnier on the left side of the mouse where the side buttons are, but everywhere else, to me, in my opinion, is identical. If we go over to something like the Sprime PM1, you can tell with the PM1, there's definitely some similarities, obviously, because it is, again, very similar to the mouse, but some key differences. One, like in the back, the PM1 is a little bit shorter of a mouse, whereas the Terra kind of goes out a little bit farther. And also, the front of the mouse starts to dip lower than the Terra actually does, as you can see in the photo. And then if you look at something like the X3, I think if I had to rank from closest to the 703 to least like it, I would go the Terra is the closest, X3 is the next one up, and then PM1 is the last one. As you can see with the X3 versus the Terra, very similar again, but again, some key differences. You can see in the front of the mouse, it's a little bit more rounded instead of angular, and just has some little small differences. Like I said, it's very similar to it, but just not exact. More like the 703 and the Terra, where I think they aren't exactly one-to-ones, but they're the closest I think you could get to a one-to-one. Yeah, and just feeling the mouse, again, I have a very average hand size, maybe even like a slightly smaller hand size. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with the 703 is because it's an ergonomic mouse, but it's not this like just hulk of a mouse. It still has a more slimmer design than some more aggressively ergonomic mouse. Like, a Death Adder V3 has a very big slant, it's very ergonomic. Where this one does have those ergonomic characteristics, but still allows someone like myself with more of that average to smaller than average hand size to use it and feel very comfortable using it. And so, yeah, the shape, I love the shape. It feels, in my opinion, it feels the most like the 703, and I love the 703. So there's a quick rundown of the shape comparisons. Now let's get into just my overall personal opinions of the mouse and what I used to test the mouse. Alrighty guys, so for the 3 games that I was mainly playing to test the Terra from Teevolution is Valorant, Marvel Rivals, and the Finals. Quick shout out to the Finals, bro. If you're not playing that game's mad fun. But back to the topic. For Valorant, that is my TAC FPS of choice, and so it gave me a nice idea of what this mouse feels like playing a more slower, focused, tactile kind of shooter, right? And I think it performed super well. Like I said, this shape just works so well with my hand size. And again, these fat side buttons are just a chef's kiss. Like look at them. Look at these side buttons. You see these? They're beautiful. They're beautiful. You never have to worry about possibly not hitting the side button because they're massive. I love it. Some people might not like that. I love it. Have I told you I love it? They're awesome. So with Valorant, I never had an issue using these side buttons to, activate on my abilities and such. The mouse felt great every time I used it. Going to more faster paced games like Marvel Rivals, like the Finals, it's really, really necessary for my grip to always feel very locked in because the game is so fast paced. In Valorant, you have those moments where, you can readjust if you need to. But sometimes in things like the Finals or Marvel Rivals, there's moments where that game is just nonstop constant, right? These aren't rounds that you're playing. You're playing a whole game. And so making sure that my grip feels locked in, secured, and I feel confident in not having to readjust is huge for those kind of games. And the Terra, I'm very happy to say, passed all of those tests and alleviated any worries that I might have when it comes to those specific topics. I don't know if you can even tell, where I live right now, it's quite warm, and I also have hyperhidrosis, and so I kind of sweat quite a bit from my hands. And so I don't know if you can tell like how messy the mouse looks. It also just shows you how much I've been using it. So with someone like hyperhidrosis, especially in those key moments, it's crucial for my mouse to not slip from my hands in any sort of way, right? And the coating that they use for this mouse is amazing for someone that, if you guys have hyperhidrosis or you deal with anything that just, your hands just sweat, right? Maybe you are living in a much warmer kind of condition, whatever it may be, I can confidently tell you, at least for my specific unit that I've been using, I can't obviously tell you every single copy of this mouse is going to be phenomenal and perform exactly how mine did. But if the other units perform 99% to how this one performed, I can tell you that the coating has been phenomenal. Even in moments where my hands are sweating, it's a clutched moment where I'm nervous and elevated, right? I've never felt that due to my hands getting sweaty, it's ever possibly screwed me over and losing that grip on the mouse. The coating is awesome. Yeah, and so when it comes to those kind of games, the tracking that you have to do, the mouse just performed awesome. And I personally, am I biased? Yes, absolutely. I loved the G703. I cannot tell you how much I loved the G703. And so to be able to be in 2025 using one of the mice that really helped me fall in love with PC gaming, but now use this like new, revised, updated version with all the specs that these new mice come with, I can't thank Teevolution enough. And again, they did send me the mouse to review, but again, if I had problems with this mouse, I would tell you guys. I am in no way forced to tell you anything but the truth. And so when I say that this mouse has been a dream to use, I really mean it. And sure, I might be biased because I just love this shape so much. And if you are familiar with the 703 or you're just not a big fan of ergonomic mice, this might not be for you. And that's just, that's just how it goes in the peripheral scene, right? There are many, many, numerous types of shapes out there for you guys. And so if this doesn't work, that's okay. But if you are someone that was fond of the 703 or an ergonomic style, or you're someone like me with a smaller to average hand size that is kind of more intimidated by those normal big ergonomic mouse, but still like the idea of an ergonomic mouse, I cannot recommend the 703. I can't recommend it more. Like it's been so great to use. I haven't had any issues with it. And again, I have been testing this thing out like crazy for the past month. It wasn't like I tested it for a week. Who knows if I'm gonna have problems with it later, No, I have been using this thing nonstop, and I have plenty of other mice that I really want to use, but I've been solely using this one, and I've been enjoying the heck out of it. And so if you guys have been thinking about using this mouse, I cannot recommend it more to you guys. Teevolution, just thank you for answering not only mine, but I know many others who were seeking out a mouse like this. I loved it, can't recommend it enough, and thank you guys so much for watching the video. Yeah, just a quick little just talk with you guys. For those that already know, but last fall I lost my grandma. That kind of put me down a spiral of emotions. She was like my own mom. She basically raised me, and so it hit really hard. She was the first person that I ever lost in terms of family members. Yeah, it just kind of put me down a path where I just did not care to do anything, if I'm being quite honest. And that involved doing these YouTube reviews. I just didn't have any motivation for it. And so just want to say I'm really sorry that these past 4 months have just kind of flown by and I haven't been doing any reviews. I've been trying to stay as updated on Twitter and, still trying to be active in the peripheral scene. One, because it's a nice distraction at times. We lost her in the fall, and so, we had experienced Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, my birthday in March, all without her. Yeah, there's just a lot of firsts that we had to kind of go through, and it just sucked. And so I'm sorry that I hadn't been posting any reviews, but yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video, I just wanted to kind of explain to you guys why I've been gone for so long. And if you guys are still here at the end of the video, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen, taking the time to watch the video and support the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I am not like any of these kind of YouTubers that are very cinematic when it comes to their reviews, and they have all these crazy gadgets and cool transitions. I'm not that. I am just someone that loves peripherals, loves talking about peripherals, and I literally just have a camera on my head and I'm just telling you guys my experience with said peripheral. And so if you guys like that kind of content, thank you, and hopefully you guys stick around and catch the more that are going to be coming out. Like I said, I do have a lot of stuff I need to review, and so hopefully this will kind of be the first little stepping stone for me to get back into a rhythm of doing these again. Thank you guys so much. Sorry if this one is a lot longer than the ones in the past. It's my first video back, so I'm pretty sure I might have rambled more than the usual review. But thank you guys. I'll catch you later. Hope you have an amazing, blessed day. See you later.